So it was a pool, a swimming pool, just like any other pool really. Except this time it looked serene, peaceful, inviting even. Trust me, this was not always the case. My very cool all-rounder type of a father deemed it necessary for both of his daughters to learn swimming. It's a necessary life skill, he said. I hated it. I really did. I didn't think it was a necessary life skill at all. I was 6 years old, so I did what any kid at that age would do. I whined and I complained. I screamed and I cried. I begged and I pleaded. I threw tantrums. I threw lots of actual things. Nothing worked. So when the clock struck 5 in the evening, my father dragged his overly dramatic screaming child to the swimming pool. Now I think my younger sister wanted to learn, but as younger siblings usually do, bless their hearts, she was just mimicking me. So when the clock struck 5 in the evening, my father dragged both his dramatic screaming children to the swimming pool. One dad, 2 legs, 2 kids, 1 kid attached to each leg. You can imagine the picture. I mean, our neighbors even joked at one point that they knew it was 5 p.m. because they were used to seeing 2 screaming, flying children exactly at that time. This happened every day for a month, and one extremely tiring month later, I began to enjoy it. My very cool all-rounder type of a father was right. Swimming was peaceful. It made me feel strong and weightless. It accepted me for who I was and didn't judge me. And it became my favorite place in the world. The pool was my home. We shifted many houses, many cities, and many countries, but the pool was always a constant. We didn't like the moving all that much, but this time, this city, this country, this house was going to be different. Because there was a massive swimming pool on the society compound. Immediately it became a home, immediately it felt just right. So every day at 5 p.m. I went there to swim a couple of laps. Don't ask me why 5 p.m. the time just stuck. My sister never joined me because she had her table tennis practice classes at the same time. So it was just me and the artificial blue. So I went there every day. And the first week passed by without any incident. From the second week, however, the kids from the other neighboring houses started to visit the pool. At this point, I should mention that we lived in an expat community compound where we were the only family of color. We were the only people of color on that compound. Everybody else was the civilized Caucasian shade commonly known as white. So when these kids came, they weren't friendly or mild-mannered. They talked loudly. They commented on the color of my skin. They commented on the hair on my body, about my general unattractiveness. They openly mocked me and they wouldn't enter the pool for as long as I was in it. Apparently, something about me needed sanitizing. I didn't understand a lot of it at first. I mean, they looked like they were my age, so how did they know things that I didn't? How did they know that my skin wasn't the appropriate shade? I didn't even realize that that was problematic. And the other girls didn't have hair on their body? Was I dirty? Ugly? Really? Why should it matter what they thought, Why should it bother me? I mean, they didn't even know me. They don't know what they were talking about. But it did. It's done. I wish I could say that I was 13 and, it was back then, but it still stings. I tried to be brave. I really did. I tried to ignore it. I really did. But they always came in a group and I was still just me. I was probably older than a lot of them, but I was still just me. I was definitely taller than a lot of them, but I was still just me. And I really tried. I went swimming for a couple of days, but the insults kept mounting and I stopped. They succeeded. I stopped going. My parents tried to find out what happened, but I never said anything. My favorite place went back to being the dreaded blue. I just became a sullen, stereotypical representation of repressed teen angst. In front of those white kids, I shrunk like a touch-me-not plant and the pool slowly receded from my view. Now, this is the point of the movie where there's a time jump. So a few weeks later, my sister had this all-important science exam, and she needed my beautiful color pencil box set. Do you know the one I'm talking about? The one that looked like a suitcase. It had a special case in the shop, to see. It had all the colors of the rainbow. It had crayons, oil pastels, fancy razors, sharpeners, everything. It was just perfect. So I gave it to her and I told her to guard it with her life. The next day, 15 minutes before her exam was about to start, my class was about to start, she comes to my classroom in tears. She tells me that another girl stole her beloved box set and was now claiming it was hers. I was furious. So I grabbed my sister's hand, stormed into the classroom and demanded to see the thief. She tearfully points to another small girl, proudly showing off my beautiful set. My rage kicked into full gear. I walk up to this girl, and now this girl is like unusually small for her age, and I was unusually tall for my age, and I looked down at her. To her, I probably looked like a scary giant. I was like in full-blown Hulk race, so I probably even looked green with electricity crackling through my coconut oiled hair, so it's quite an image. So with all the restraint that I could muster at that time, which is no mean feat, by the way, I look at her, look down at her, and I say, "That's not yours." She immediately bursts out in tears, gives the box to my sister and runs away. Poor thing. Because I had to be an even more of a horrible person, I turned to my sister in front of her entire class, in front of all of her friends. I yell loudly, "What the hell is wrong with you? I told you to take care. I told you to guard just one thing. You can't do one thing right. The one thing I asked you to do. How stupid can you be?" And I storm away. And I look back at my sister, and she looked so tiny. She was feverishly clutching the color pencil box, and she was crying. I didn't do it. I didn't do a damn thing. I didn't do anything. I just continued feeling justified at my very bad mood, and I was in a very bad mood all the time. Anyway, a few weeks later, it was my sister's birthday. Now, my sister's birthday is a very big deal in our household because her birthday always coincided with the start of our final exam, so we couldn't always throw her a party. And even if we did, nobody would turn up. It was just an unavoidable situation. So whatever she wanted for that day, she got. And what she wanted for that day was to go to the pool with her big sister. I immediately said no. Now my sister has this other fascinating habit of not being able to understand that word. So I relented. I told her, "Okay, fine, we'll go, but we'll stay there for half an hour and we'll come right back, okay?" Okay. So we went. We had so much fun. I forgot how fun the pool could be. We kept pulling water tricks and we swam, and it was so much fun. We didn't even realize the time pass, and I'd begun to let my guard down when I heard the familiar, unnerving voices of those kids. And I subconsciously began to back into the wall. My sister continued to pull water tricks and called out to me, and I wasn't paying attention to her. When I didn't respond to her for the third time, she turned around to see what could possibly be more important than the birthday girl. She looks at me looking at the kids. She turns to them and brightly says, "Hi there." They freeze, I freeze. They look at us and snigger. And the boy, the one that looked like their ringleader, comes closer to the pool, bends down, looks at my sister and says, "Oh look, it speaks." They're making the pool dirty again with their color. Ugh, looks like we'll have to ask the pool man to increase the chlorine to clear out all the brown shit. My sister blinks and looked at me. I began swimming towards the exit ladder, hurt, and I gestured to my sister to leave. We get out of the pool. But then my sister stops me, pulls at my hand and says, "Akka," she calls me Akka, and says, "Akka, let's just make the pool dirtier for them, na?" And immediately cannonballs into the pool. I freeze, they freeze. But then I look at my sister. merrily splashing away without a care in the world, vigorously swimming, trying to make the pool even more dirty. And I laugh. I laugh for a minute straight. I laugh all of the pain, the shame, and the embarrassment away. And I take a few steps back and I dive into the pool after my sister. We had so much fun. We stayed in the pool until my very cool all-rounder type of a father had to physically yank us out of the pool, which is quite different from what used to happen. And then I realized it wasn't the pool that was my home. It was my sister. My sister was my home. So when my dad tried to yank us out of the pool, we did what any kid would do at that age. We whined and we complained, we begged and we pleaded, we screamed and we cried. But this time, my father listened. He joined us and we all stayed in the pool for a few more minutes. The end. So if you like that story and you want to watch more, you know the drill. Please like, share and subscribe. And leave a comment. Tell us all the things that you like. Try not to tell us all the things you didn't like. And yes, we'll see you again. Bye.